Okay? Again, it's like, it's inhuman. It's just appalling. That's precisely my point. It's inhuman. To describe his behavior merely as some kind of psychological aberration or disorder is way off the mark. Now, how does this all tie together with a reptilian overlordship in the New World Order? Well, some of you are probably familiar with David Icke's work. Long before David Icke arrived on the scene, shapeshifting had been described by abductees. Very often, reptilians in particular, would assume the guise of other aliens, very often blonde Nordic-type aliens. Sometimes they would appear as tall grays wearing robes. Other times, reptilians would appear as military personnel. So the concept of shapeshifting has been well established in the abduction literature long before David Icke popped up. Now, how does this all tie in? Well, once again, through the control of the human gene pool, the reptilians on a family scale and on a macro scale have ensured that their reptilian human hybrids, some of them with quite advanced psychic abilities, have attained positions of power, but in positions of power throughout all strata of society. And we see the bitter fruits of this all around us. So this is a reptilian agenda. It's not just power-mad, power-hungry human beings.
Drug overuse, malnutrition, of suicide. The national toll per year is in the thousands every year. Kids die violently because of this.
The kind of individuals involved are down the line, almost in every instance, in the cases I've investigated, men who are very powerful, usually very wealthy, and usually administrate control over a large number of people.
16-year-old Boyd came to us telling how he'd started as a prostitute at age 12 and now is employed by a large Houston corporation. The corporation pays him from a well-covered slush fund.
I'm working right now, with the corporation. And
what's that? How's that work?
Well, when their executives or their business people are in town, they're sent to our apartment, and we entertain them while they're here.
Okay, what's that entertainment usually involve? What do they usually demand, or what do they want?
Well, it's all kinds of sex and perversions. There's no two alike. I've decided that.
Subsequent to the making of this interview, this boy's mutilated body was found.
It's closely attached to the major financial, commercial, industrial, educational institutions of our society. It's run by the same people who run those. It's frequented by the same people who occupy management positions in those. It's not the mafia. It's an adjunct of clean business. It's serving the most respectable people we have in our society, the people who are the elite.
Abuses were carried out by Michael Baker over a period of almost 7 years, but recently released files showed that he made a confession to Cardinal Roger Mahony and was put back into the ministry where he abused again. Well, the BBC's Jane Little is monitoring this from Washington for us. And Jane, just talk us through the settlement. What are the details?
Well, this is a big out-of-court settlement. It's headed off a court case. On behalf of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, Cardinal Mahony, also named in the suit, and Father Michael Baker, as you mentioned. Now, Father Michael Baker is accused by four unnamed victims here, accused Father Michael Baker of molesting them during the 1970s and accused Cardinal Mahony of covering up his behaviour. Now, as part of this settlement, no party admits any wrongdoing. However, in January, a court ordered the release of thousands of pages of church files, which revealed that Cardinal Mahony, as Archbishop of Los Angeles, had shielded several accused priests from the law, sometimes moving them out of state, even out of country. And among them was Michael Baker. He had gone to Cardinal Mahony in 1986 and admitted to molesting two brothers, and instead of reporting it to the police, Cardinal Mahoney, sent him for psychological treatment. Then he was allowed back into ministry where he abused again. He was jailed in 2007 for molesting young boys and was released in 2011 for